cups, take the cups out, you reduce them, or you fire them and reduce them, and then you're drinking tea while you're waiting for the kiln to open. Big ceremony. Well, Paul thought, well, it's got to be to stick them in a trash can, they heat them up for 20 minutes, put them in a trash can, then pull them out and put them in water. That's it. 20 minutes, 15 minutes. It wasn't what they were doing. They were doing things that took days. And so Paul Solner has impacted how everybody does Raku. And there's a guy in Greece that I visit occasionally, and one day in the summer, he and a buddy, or a week, they spend the whole week doing Raku firings. He makes pots all year round, fires regular firings, but he saves up a bunch of stuff, and when they do the Raku, they put on the suits, the fireman's suits, the respirators, the whole works, and from 6 or 7 in the morning till 6 at night, all day, 5 or 6 days, until he runs out of pots that he's going to Raku fire, gets them done. He uses Paul Solner's technique. This here is Hans Cooper, I believe. Let's see, 59. Yeah, that's Hans Cooper. And Hans wrote quite a few books. And his books are quite well. This part is stone and slab combined. And then, of course, this is, I believe, Lucy Ray. This is number 60. Lucy Ray, R-I-E. Better known for her just white pieces. And then this is fired with lines. And porcelain can be translucent. And then, of course, this is a bronze luster that she's put on there. And number 61, this is Tom Turner. And I need to find a picture that I took of Tom for Dan Anderson. I've got one somewhere. How is this one fired? Can you tell by looking at it?
Wood fire.
That's wood ash fired. Yeah, it's not a fake ash. It's fired in a wood firing kiln. We looked at this guy. This is David Furman. And remember he did the blackboards and did the things like Victor Spensky and the blackboards and stuff. He was doing glazes out of his kitchen, but this is all clay. And right now he's doing the little drawing figures. And this is Don Wrights. And I did an article on Don in '89, he and Yukio. And Paula Rice, I've become really good friends with her. And she was married to Don at that time. They got divorced. She got heavily into drugs. Don couldn't deal with her. Very, very creative, very beautiful lady. And then she was married to Vern Funk for a while. And Vern Funk is where you get the word funky from. And so, but this guy was just amazing. And Mitch bought one of his cups at one of the in Sika's. He paid, it was when we had it down in Phoenix, and he paid $360 for it and sold it to another student. But in the same gallery, they had some the same size that were 600, and I asked what's the difference between the two? And she said, oh, that one was in the national show that Don had, and so when he has them in a national show, they double in price. And so Mitch's piece is probably worth $1,200 now that he sold. This is, everybody knows who this is, right? Linda Arbuckle. We've had a report on her. Janet Mansfield. Janet is an Australian potter, and Art and Perception was her publication, and she died of cancer, and Elaine O'Henry did her publication for about 5 years. And then I met her son and daughter-in-law, and they had bought the Art and Perception back, and so they're publishing it in Australia. the Australian magazines, the American Ceramic magazine, the British magazine were contraband in Russia, not Playboy. They didn't care about Playboy. They wanted to see what the American, Australian, and European artists were doing back when the Communist Party was in big control. And so she was one of the publishers. Really a nice lady. Viola Fry, and Viola is a very interesting lady and did some very interesting pieces of work. We talked a little bit about this lady in here. This is Judy Chicago, and she was involved in the in the feminist artist movement. And so these are all, did we talk about this one, and we didn't, did we?
Yeah, we did.
We did, okay. They're all vaginas up there, but all of the, obviously these are tablecloths, but all of these tiles on the floor have women's names on them. And then the most famous women are up on the top of the table. And of course, June Kaneko, Dango, Richard Nocton. And Richard does lots of political themes. This is one of his teapots. And you can see death and peanuts here, and your rocks, and then of course the Hamel and the mushroom formed from atomic bomb. So he's a smart guy, very interesting. And then this is, if you'd like to see this piece in person, go with us on the San Francisco trip. This is Wayne Higbee's, and Wayne's teaches at Alfred. And Marcus, one of Eric's students, is going back there. He'll be studying with Wayne. Wayne's just a really cool guy. Great dancer. Nice, wonderful book. And he sent me a copy of it. I paid for that one, but I've got some that people give me. But this, at the Legion of Honor, they have an area that's open, and that one is on like one side, and then on the other side, and there's benches and stuff there where you can sit, beautifully carved. And on the other side is his big bowl that is similar to this. This is the canyons. And it's raku, both of them are raku. And he did them some years ago. And I tell him, you're the only person in the world I know that has a room with a view in the museum and only your pieces are displayed there. And he said, I've never been to Glen, I gotta go see him. Wayne Higbee. And then of course you recognize this, right? Wedgwood. And remember we showed you how that was done. It's called a frisket. And this one here is myosin. And remember they do cups and stuff that are $400 and $500. So what's their symbol on the bottom?
Cross swords.
Cross swords. So if you see one in a junk store, pick it up, because even if it's $5, you're going to be saving $400 or $500. And this one here is Limoges. This is a Limoges from France, and we didn't talk much about Limoges. When I was in China, two of the potters that I hung out with were Limoges potters, the big guys from Limoges. And I have a lot of Limoges stuff, and they did things on Napoleon because they're French. So I have a French beaker that I need to let you see sometime, Mikey, before you leave. That's done by Limoges. And of course, this is German, a beer stein. We saw a beer stein in there. We talked about those. And who's this guy?
Police.
French. This is Palissy. And remember, he did a lot of things, became the Queen's potter. And so I think we can just stick our finger in the ear and call it the end of the class.